So I'm 40 years old, and I'm going to be compressing the last 22 years of my life in roughly 10 minutes here. So the major mistakes that I've made, the pain that I've felt and dealt with, and the wrong turns that nearly cost me everything. So the next 10 minutes, it might save you from losing a decade trying to learn what I had to suffer through to understand. And nothing that I am going to say here is theoretical. It is all firsthand experience. It's hard earned, it's paid for in time, and lots of regret and consequences. So this is what happens when you stop running from your past and long enough to study it. So if you're in your late teens or 20s, listen closely, okay? Because I've paid a very dear price for these lessons, and I would rather you learn from my scars than earn your own the hard way, okay? So when I was 18, I got lost, man. Not just a little. I mean, I was lost in drugs and aimless friends, nights that just bled into mornings. I wasn't living. I thought I was, but I wasn't. I was hiding. It was escapism is what I was choosing every day. And escapism, it feels like freedom until you realize that the walls are just invisible. I mean, that went on until I was 20, between 20 and 21. That's when it ended. That's when the pain of staying in that life, it finally became greater than the pain it would take to get out of it. And, I made the decision to walk away for good. That's when everything shifted for me. And that's when I stopped surviving and I really started growing. I started the pursuit of growing as a person. And here's the thing is you don't outgrow that life. You walk out of it and you walk alone. And so, I mean, when I finally crawled out of that season of my life, I thought the answer was love, a woman, right? I believed if I just found someone who accepted me, everything broken in me would just, I don't know, it would just disappear. I don't know. I would, I would be complete or something. And of course, I was dead wrong. I didn't need a woman to complete me. I needed a mission, and I didn't need that particular type of love. I needed self-respect. I didn't have that. I was asking women to validate a man who hadn't even been built yet. I did not know anything. I had no confidence, no competence, and absolutely no direction. So, as you can imagine, every relationship was essentially a mirror of my confusion. And you can't build something stable on top of that. You just can't. If you don't know who you are, I mean, you'll hand that job to whoever gives you attention. And boy, I did, okay? And what they'll do is they'll just build a version of you that benefits them, not you. It's bad for both parties, okay? And now at 40, I've realized something very important, that I don't need a woman to love me to feel complete. I don't. Would it be nice to have that? Yeah, absolutely, it would. It would be beautiful to meet a kind woman, live on a farm, and make a bunch of babies and raise them in truth and purpose and protect them from this corrupt world. Yeah, of course, that would be awesome. That's a dream any man with a good heart would have. But by the time you hit my age, here's the thing is you learn to see reality for what it is. Hopefully. You stop living off of ideals and start operating off clarity, off of what's realistic. You realize that fulfillment doesn't come from what you get, it comes from what you build. And you can't be looking for other people to get these things. They have to come from you. I mean, and here's the thing is you also, when you become 40, you get around this age, you start to notice things faster. You see patterns. And sure, like your reflexes, your physical reflexes might not be as sharp as they were at 20. I know mine definitely aren't, but your instincts are way stronger. You don't waste time explaining what your gut already knows. I mean, listening to your gut, you really learn to do that when you get to to 40. So even mid 30s. But I mean, that's what experience does. I mean, it trades speed for accuracy, and it trades energy for wisdom, and impulse for emotional intelligence. I mean, that's the quiet power that comes with age. Perspective can't be faked. It just can't. And so, but yeah, I mean, in my 20s, I mean, I had some, I think I had a few real friends I still talk to this day, but for the most part, I didn't have real friends. I mean, there's a handful that I still talk to today that are, really good people that I stay in contact with, even though we're very far apart. But I mean, I had a lot of just fair weather friends, just people they were only around when things were easy, when the night was young, when it was all jokes and no accountability, But the second that life got serious, I mean, they were nowhere to be found. They disappeared. And I think that most people in their 20s really are just selfish and lost. I mean, I'm a millennial, so, I think a lot of millennials can relate with this. I mean, it's the blind leading the blind. And yeah, every now and then a blind squirrel will find a nut. But yeah, I mean, they're pretending to have things figured out, but they're silently hoping that someone else does, honestly. But I mean, when it comes to friends, I mean, what I've learned is you have to be just very discerning about that. Who you spend time with, it really shapes who you become. What is it? The five people that you spend the most time with, or you're the sum of the five people you spend the most time with. It's very true. I mean, but here's the thing: if you find that one person who is there for you at 3 a.m., who sticks with you through the storms, and you hold on to that person, that is a friendship that's worth nurturing and worth maintaining. And you reciprocate. You be that same man for him. Okay, you be that same friend in return. None of that one-sided stuff. Okay. And I've also learned that you can't be friends with a woman you're attracted to. And I know a lot of men like to say you can't be friends with women, period. I mean, technically you can, but not when attraction's involved. It clouds everything. You can be friends with a woman you're not attracted to, yeah. But yeah, I'd say the most rewarding friendships I've ever had have been with other men. Because, iron sharpens iron, right? Men need other men to build each other up, to correct each other, to strengthen each other. Because without that, I mean, you end up being surrounded by people who, smile when you're weak and vanish when you're tested. Like I said, they're just fair weather friends. They're only with you when it's sunny out. So, but I mean, here's another thing that I've learned: your beliefs, they will evolve. They will. You will not in your when you're 30, when you're 35, and when you're 40, you're going to be three different types of people, roughly, because you're going to be introduced to new information. And so it's always important to change your beliefs when you're presented with better information. Of course, information that passes the smell check. But here's the thing: don't get stuck defending an outdated version of yourself just because you once said it out loud, okay? And is discourse important? Of course it is. Of course it is. You don't. But here's the thing: you don't ruin a good friendship because you're not perfectly aligned on every single issue, okay? Choose friends, of course, that will have the same morals, values, and principles. I mean, that is the foundation of any good relationship, friendship, or, relationship with a woman. But after that, I mean, just learn to relax, dude. Just kill the motor, dude. Don't, just turn your wheels. I mean, yeah, you're still going to have differences. You don't have to debate everything. You don't. I made that mistake plenty of times. Sometimes you just have to just sit back and just chill and just let people think differently without taking it as an attack, or just sit. If it's uncomfortable, just let it be uncomfortable. Okay. That's the beauty of life, is that not everyone thinks the exact same way and has the exact same opinion. That would actually be rather boring and bland, don't you think? But I mean, that's a part of growing up, learning that agreement isn't required for respect. Okay. And then also, this was throughout my life teens, 20s, 30s, you know, I tried to fix myself through church in different stages, both in the Protestant realm and the Catholic realm. But I don't know, it wasn't faith that I found, it was performance. Just rooms and cathedrals full of people just pretending to be healed and just posturing like they've conquered sin while secretly drowning in it. And yeah, I played along. I tried to speak the language and wear the smile and raise my hands in the Protestant realm. When I was Catholic, I was in Latin Mass. There's no hand raising. That's a whole other topic for another day. But I'm no longer a Christian for many reasons. You can watch my other content to have a better understanding of that. I'm not going to get into that right now. That's kind of a side issue, but it wasn't real, and I can't function around inauthenticity. It makes my skin crawl. That whole, it's like being it's that feeling of claustrophobia, I guess. That whole environment, both in the Protestant and in the Catholic realm, it just taught me that, it was just theater, honestly. And I just didn't think that any of it really aligned with the full truth. And if you're wired for the truth, for the full truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, you'll always feel like a square peg in a round hole when you're surrounded by people pretending to be whole. So, but yeah. But anyway, so when I was at 29, I became a father, okay? And that's what changed everything. You realize just how selfish you've been your entire life the moment that you become a parent. You realize how weak you were, and you discover a kind of love that doesn't exist anywhere else. I mean, my situation wasn't simple. It still isn't. The family court system became my battlefield. It still is to this day, and it will break a man who doesn't know who he is. It's a machine with teeth that doesn't care about your heart. It tests your endurance, your patience, your sanity. But here's the thing: it forced me to grow, and it still forces me to grow. It forces me to become more strategic and more resilient and more disciplined. Because when your child is on the other side of that wall, you either evolve or collapse. So my 30s were a forge. Every loss, every betrayal, every sleepless night in that system, all of it stripped away who I thought I was. That decade from 30 to now, it taught me that struggle isn't punishment, it's refinement. You don't grow from comfort. You just don't. You grow from confrontation, from friction. And when you finally stop asking why me and start asking what now, you become dangerous, and not to others, but to the weakness that used to run your life. So, but yeah, now at 40, I know who I am and why I'm here. The noise doesn't move me anymore. The flattery, the gossip, the fake alliances, all of it rolls off because I finally built myself on something solid. Truth. The pursuit of it. The defense of it. And I'll die on that hill if I have to, because my son is watching. He's learning what a man looks like by how I carry myself when it's hard, not when it's easy. If I have to be uncomfortable for his sake and for the sake of what's right, then I'm fine living there. Comfort never made a man worth remembering. Here's the thing. In my 20s, I tried to impress people. Eventually, you'd stop caring about that. Who cares what other people think, okay? You don't need to impress other people, okay? Don't go that route, okay? And I know I promised that this would be 10 minutes. It's now about 15. So here's the thing. I am 40, and I am finally grateful for the pain. It shaped me into a man that I respect and can look in the mirror. I can go to sleep at night. So you can learn from your scars, or you can repeat them. That's your choice. It took me 20 years to learn all of this. And you just got it in 15. So the only question remains. There's one question. What will you do with it?